Hello, I'm Bill Underwood. Welcome to Everwood Farmstead. We have a special production for you today. During the summer of 2019, Grant Sorenson joined us for a week at the Artist Retreat, and during that time, he adapted the play Miss Julie. We worked with Grant in hopes of presenting the premiere of that piece here in the Everwood barn with a full house. Due to unfortunate circumstances, the show must still go on, however. So I want to welcome you to this special production, introduce you to Beahen, Meghan Kreidler, and Mike Weiser. Welcome and enjoy this adaptation of Miss Julie by the incredible Grant Sorenson. Thank you for being a part of this.
Midsummer, the evening of a celebration in the nearby village. We are in the kitchen of a manor house. To one side is an ornate wooden cabinet upon which sits all the props that will be used in the play. It's around 1 a.m. Kirsten sits slowly polishing plate after plate. At first she may look slightly catatonic, but upon further observation you can see the wheels turning, an aliveness behind her eyes. A noise off, then Jan enters. He's dressed in black, carrying a pair of gleaming leather boots. He sets them down as he enters.
You'll never guess who's on a rampage tonight.
You're back.
Finally.
Took this long?
The roads are impossible, even at this hour. Everyone's celebrating. I had to stop in at the dance, didn't I?
Did you?
They saw the car approaching, everyone at the dance, even drunk out of their minds. They saw the car and they ambushed me. They pulled me into the barn, they forced me.
Forced you?
And there she was.
The mistress.
Like Marie Antoinette playing at being a peasant. Miss Julie amidst the revelers, a lilac crown in her hair, passed from one partner to the next, round and round, until finally she spins up to me. The smell of alcohol on her breath, and demands that I dance with her next. An order. When we're in this house, I can stand being commanded, but in the barn, at a dance for the villager, I can't abide it. Oh, let me help you.
I've got it. Hungry?
No.
I tried to sleep hours ago, but the noise, I couldn't drown it out. I thought at least I'd be productive if I couldn't sleep.
You should have gone and joined in.
I knew Miss Julie would be there, and I didn't want to face her.
Don't let her get under your skin.
Since the engagement fell through, she's worse than ever.
He escaped that one narrowly.
She was trying to break him down. That's why she's been so terrible to me these last weeks. I saw it. Them.
What?
I haven't told anyone this, but
Tell me.
I was changing the linens in the guest room after the party from the weekend had all gone, clearing ashtrays and all that, and I thought the wing was empty, but as I made my way down to the last room, I heard voices. The door was ajar just a bit so I could see. And there she was, naked, standing with him on his hands and knees in front of her. The things that she was calling him, it was nothing like I'd ever heard. Stupid me, I hit the bad floorboard and gave myself away. She looked me straight in the eyes. I felt as if I'd turned to stone right there. It must have broken the spell because he clambered to his feet and he slammed the doors closed. I heard them arguing as I ran down the stairs, and that was that. He was gone by noon.
You're not serious.
Could I invent something like that?
Well, that's something.
Forget I said anything. I can't even believe I told you.
Drink?
We've only got beer. You know I hate beer.
Beer's no good for Midsummer anyway. I've got a surprise.
Oh?
You'll love me forever for this.
Jan disappears out the door to the rest of the kitchen. After a moment, he returns with a bottle of expensive champagne.
Where did you get that?
Slipped it from the cellar last night.
Jan!
Let's open it. Get glasses.
Put it back right now. You'll be found out.
Glasses, come on. We're celebrating tonight too. No, stemware. We've got to do this properly.
You're terrible, you know that.
Isn't that what you find so appealing about me?
It isn't that messy mop of hair, I'll tell you that much.
Would you stop?
You're like a girl, so vain about your looks.
I won't share my treasure with you if you keep misbehaving.
Oh, I'll behave.
If I had a saber, I'd open this with some flair.
You think you're so impressive.
Aren't I? I've worked at some of the finest restaurants, hotels, served people of real influence and stature.
Come on then, open it.
This? Oh, this is a very fine vintage.
I couldn't tell you what a single word on that label means.
All you need to understand is what's inside the bottle, not outside it. Here.
I feel like one of them.
Resist the temptation. You deserve this too. Happy Midsummer. Happy days for us to come. Oh, not so fast. Enjoy it. She's a mystery to me.
Julie.
Yes.
She's not as complicated as you'd think. I hear the kinds of things she talks about with Claire. A lady's maid should be a better secret keeper, but
She should know her place. It's not right for her to spend all the time alone bothering the servants.
look at how she was raised, though. My mother worked here when the lady of the house was still alive. Talked about how progressive she was. She believed in women having agency, equality.
If I had her for a wife, I'd have smacked some sense into her.
Well, that was back when servants were loyal to the families they served, not just hired workers like us.
Loyal?
Yes, well, I mean,
Tied to. More like bonded to. No choice in that.
I just meant.
We have a shot at making something of our lives in this world, Kirsten. You and I. We work here long enough and put some money away, and then we will find a little inn somewhere. Maybe on the coast.
Don't be foolish.
I am not foolish. And you will be smart enough not to say that again. You hear me? Don't ever say I'm foolish again.
Jan,
I'm riled up. It's late night, long drive, Miss Julie in the barn.
did you dance with her?
Of course I did. Couldn't say no to the lady of the house.
Does she dance well?
She moves like a dream. She was probably drunk.
Sounds like you enjoyed it.
Stop.
Run back and have another dance if you'd like. I'm exhausted.
Stay up. No, talk with me.
I'll have to be up again in no time.
Then stay up the entire night. We'll watch the sunrise.
It's too late now. But I imagine your Miss Julie would be eager for one more spin around under the lilac garlands.
Suddenly, Julie is standing in the kitchen. Kirsten drops the plate she's holding, taken by surprise. Jan stands as the mistress enters. She looks around for a moment as though she doesn't quite remember why she's come into the room.
Forgive me, I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere. I meant to go to bed.
I'll call for Claire, Miss Julie. You'll want help undressing.
While I'm here, is it finished?
Yes, I have it here. Do you want it now, or should I have it?
Have it brought to my room. I'll take it.
Miss Julie.
Ah,
Secrets between young ladies, then?
wouldn't you love to know?
If I guess right, will you tell me? Some kind of witch's brew to mark the solstice? A potion that will reveal the future?
Don't be silly, there's no such thing.
No such thing as witches?
No such thing as the future. And if you must know...
Miss Julie?
Clean up that broken dish, Kirsten. It's for my dog, Diana. She's been getting into trouble with the groundskeeper's mutt. This is just a precaution to clear away anything that might be taking root, as it were.
You don't need to tell him that, Miss Julie.
I don't mind. Oh,
I don't mind. Really?
I've told him all he needs to know, and no more. We should be allowed some secrets, shouldn't we, Kirsten?
What a scent that handkerchief has.
A very fine scent from Paris, made just for me. Most men wouldn't even notice.
You'll find I have more refinement than most.
Have another dance with me.
Haven't the festivities ended?
Not at all. The stable boy, whatever is his name, was just begging me for a dance, but he's hopeless. I need a partner like you. One would think you'd spent your whole life in palace ballrooms.
Thank you, miss. But as we've already danced tonight, it's only fair that I honor Kirsten with the next one.
Oh, Kirsten looks far too exhausted to do any dancing. She's been working so hard tonight. You wouldn't mind, would you?
I would consider it a great honor, as I'm sure would Jan.
An honor, yes, but
What? Speak.
I would hate to give these simple-minded folk any cause to judge you, miss.
Judge me? You shouldn't think so lowly of your kind, Jan. These peasants are nothing but welcoming to me. I grace their lovely little dance with my presence, and they throw open their arms to me. I love them. Now, come and dance with me.
As you command, Miss Julie.
Don't take it as a command, please. We're just us tonight, just people, no rank. I'll have him back by sunrise, Kirsten.
Julie and Jan are gone into the night. Kirsten, alone, clears away the rest of the stacks of dishes. She arranges the chairs. She sweeps up any remaining pieces of broken dish. As she cleans, she notices Julie's handkerchief left behind on the floor. She picks it up and brings it close to her face, inhaling deeply. She folds it carefully and puts it in her pocket. Overcome with exhaustion, she sits in one of the chairs. She closes her eyes and begins to drift off when suddenly Jan returns.
What? What is it?
That woman
What's she done now?
begs me for to dance with her, drags me back to the barn, promenades me out like some little show pony, then turns her back on me and dances with the pathetic stable boy. I'm stood there like an idiot, and she just laughs and dances away.
Like a girl, Jan. You are so sensitive.
She's incomprehensible.
She should be on her period. It's usually around this time of month.
Enough of that. Oh, disgusting. And why should you know that?
Claire told me.
I should have stayed behind. I should have stayed with you.
I was about to fall asleep.
Let's dance here.
No, would you just let me go?
You can hear the music all the way up here.
Being silly.
Dance with me.
I want to go to bed now.
Stay here and dance with me.
Julie enters quietly, watching this interaction, half hidden in the doorway.
I think it's best that we both just say goodnight.
Not yet. Be a good girl. Behave. You promised you'd behave.
Jan, please.
There you are. You shouldn't abandon your partner on the dance floor, Jan. Here I was thinking you were well-mannered.
It seemed that you had another suitor, Miss Julie. I thought I was dismissed.
And you fled back here for protection.
I don't want Kirsten to be left alone.
I see. Why are you still in your uniform? It's not very festive. Change into something else.
It would be impolite for me to remove my coat here, miss.
I've seen a man in shirt sleeves before, Jan. You can remove your livery right here. I won't swoon. Would you prefer if I turned my back?
I would feel uncomfortable, miss.
Should Kirsten cover my eyes? She'll make sure I don't peek.
If you'll excuse me.
Wait. While you're changing, you may as well shave and douse yourself with something nice to smell. You're not working the rest of the evening. I forbid it. And besides, my father won't return until morning.
Yes, miss.
Jan exits into his room. Julie sits. Kirsten busies herself with something.
How long have you two been intimate with each other?
Miss?
It's so obvious. Are you engaged?
Not in so formal a term, but we consider ourselves promised to each other, yes.
Promises can be broken.
Yes, miss.
He's fascinating.
He's seen a lot of the world and experienced much more than I could ever imagine.
Don't let him bully you, Kirsten. I saw him just now. The way he grabbed you.
It wasn't how it looked, miss. He's just a man, that's all.
I wasn't brought up to let a man control me.
You and I were brought up differently, miss.
I'm sure. But then I imagine you were brought up in a much happier home than I was.
My parents were good to me. Hard workers. They taught us to do the same. Your mother died when you were young, didn't she, miss? Forgive me. That was presumptuous.
No, I don't remember the last time someone asked me a question about myself.
If you'd rather not talk about it, miss.
When I was young, my mother made me dress and behave as a boy. She had my hair cut short and refused to let me wear dresses and petticoats. Master Julie, that's what all the men who worked on the estate would call me. They were vile. They'd speak about crude things in front of me. At night, I would lock myself in my room and cry, tug at my hair, trying to make it grow out faster. I'd stare at my body in the mirror, hating what I saw.
She wanted a son?
For a long time, I thought that's why she treated me the way she did. I thought I was a disappointment. She had been forced into marriage with my father and then forced to have a child. I have no delusions about the fact that I was born out of obligation. What I learned later on was that she wanted me to prove that a girl was just as good as a boy, that we could be brought up to wield the same power. She was not a woman of her time. She believed in equality between the genders. At one point, she toyed with the idea of making all of the women do the work of the men and vice versa. I can't imagine that would have been very successful. The men would have never been able to do all that the women were responsible for.
And your father just let her?
Of course not, especially once I was older. He said he was finished with the whole thing. The experiment was over. I was a girl again. He made sure of that. He wanted me to look like a girl. He would stroke my long hair once it had grown out. He called me his pretty Miss Julie. He would dress me every morning and undress me at night like a doll, to make sure that I looked just how he wanted me to. And my mother was ill by then, so she had no say. She couldn't do anything.
Miss.
She was being sent away to health spas at first, then sanatoriums. And he could have his way with me. When I was 14, she finally returned, but she was different. She wasn't there anymore, not my mother. She stayed locked away in her rooms or just wandered mindlessly through the gardens, and then the fire happened.
My mother worked here at the time of the fire. She said it was devastating.
5 servants were killed. No one knew how it started, of course. I remember my maid waking me and pulling me from my room out into the night, the servants and everyone standing out in the field, watching as the flames grew. My father held me close to him, trying to shield my eyes from the smoke. I had to watch, though. I had to watch until my mother made it out. Eventually, the men were able to put out the flames, but my mother was gone.
Miss, I'm so sorry.
It was her way out. She made her own means of escape. I hated her for leaving me behind, for leaving me with my father, but I also learned from her that a woman must control her own destiny. A romantic idea, I suppose. Stupid.
Maybe one day.
Not until every man on earth has been wiped out. I hate them.
But the engagement.
That's what's expected of me. I don't relish it. And besides, we saw how that ended.
I never meant.
I fear you may have gotten the wrong impression from what you saw.
It was so quick, miss, I barely even remember the moment.
You must think I'm some kind
No,
of...
I don't. I would never think that.
He was the one that asked me to do those things. He begged for me to degrade him. What could I do but oblige?
Jan re-enters, freshly shaved, changed out of his servant's uniform. He drops the shaving razor on the cabinet as he enters. Julie stands and appraises him. Kirsten moves to another part of the kitchen, eventually sitting and falling asleep while the others talk.
1,000 times more pleasant to behold.
If it pleases you, madam.
He does a grand theatrical bow to her.
Oh, now you're just showing off. Where did you learn something like that?
Switzerland. I worked as sommelier at one of the big hotels in Lucerne. We would greet the clientele like that.
If I didn't know any better, I'd mistake you for a real gentleman.
You flatter me.
I mean it. You play the part very well.
You mock me then.
Do you mistrust me?
I'm not used to speaking so frankly to the mistress of the house. I beg your pardon if I've made you uncomfortable.
How well you speak. Do you attend the theater?
I appreciate the finer things, Miss Julie. Art and all that.
Have you ever seen a hypnotist?
All nonsense.
No, it's wonderful.
Forgive me, but that's women's entertainment.
Oh,
A man could never believe that kind of illusion.
It's not illusion, it's
Miss Julie,
real.
I beg your
I've
pardon,
seen
but
it.
it's nonsense.
I saw once a hypnotist put a man, yes, a man, into a deep trance. He says something like, "You are now under my spell and you'll do as I say."
All pretense.
Then he'll have the man stand and take an invisible broom into his hand and sweep the stage.
The man is an actor hired to make the scene play out as planned.
Are you always so cynical?
I'm a realist, miss.
Where do you come from?
My father was a laborer on the next estate over, miss. I'd ride with him past here, though on his way into the village. I always made sure to stand up on the back of the horse cart to peer over the wall.
Enamored by our lovely gardens.
I was always hoping to catch a glimpse of you.
No, really?
Yes, I feel ashamed now.
How charming. To know I had an admirer in you even as children.
More than admiration, I was... I should stop there. I won't bore you with my childhood fancies.
I'm not bored in the slightest.
No, really, I can't do it now. Another time,
How
perhaps.
can you be so sure we'll have another time?
Please
Tell
don't
me,
command
please.
me. Not
now,
about this.
This instant.
It's late. You were going to bed?
I'm wide awake, which is more than can be said for poor Kirsten. The secret's out. I know all about you two. Don't deny it. Do you think she snores?
She talks in her sleep.
How do you know?
I've heard her.
Why don't you sit down?
It wouldn't be proper in your presence.
You were just sitting a moment ago.
I forgot myself.
Forget yourself again.
I can't.
Forget everything.
No.
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 But if I order you to do it?
I will be forced to obey.
Sit then. But I'd like something to drink while we talk.
All that's left in the icebox is beer.
I prefer beer to wine.
If you'll excuse me then.
Jan disappears for a moment, then returns with a bottle and glass. He pours the beer into the glass and sets both down in front of Julie.
Join me.
Is that a command as well?
I'd like for you to keep me company.
If you insist.
Drink my health. Don't be shy. Not now.
To the health of my lady.
Bravo. Now, kiss my foot. Then, everything will be perfect.
Jan stands for a moment, then places the glass on the table. He descends onto one knee and takes Julie's foot in his hand. This feels like the first time they've ever touched. He brings her foot to his mouth and touches his lips to it. They linger there for a moment before he returns her foot to the floor. He sits for a moment on one knee, his head bowed.
You really should have been on the stage.
I'll say goodnight then. We can't do this. If someone had walked in...
This is my house, my kitchen. You're my servant kissing my foot. Who would dare say anything to me?
Your father.
My father won't be home for hours.
The villagers, they don't know any better. They see one thing and they make it into something else, something worse.
They wouldn't dare.
They already have. At the dance. Didn't you feel every eye on you?
I'm the lady of the house.
Can't you see that that's exactly why they'll talk? You seem to think that the title is your shield you'll use to protect yourself, when actually it's the very sword piercing your side.
What a shame that all this talent should be wasting away here.
You've got to listen to me. The two of us alone here could...
We are not alone. She's right there.
Yes, asleep.
I'll wake her. Kirsten. Kirsten! There. She's out cold.
Let her be.
You want a chaperone, don't you? Can't you wake up?
She works hard. She's exhausted. Can't you just let her enjoy her rest?
She offered me good company while you were shaving.
What did you talk about?
My hatred of men. Come into the garden with me. I want to pick more lilacs.
Go with you, Miss Julie?
There's fireflies dancing in the air.
I can't go with you, miss. What would they think?
They, always they. Who are they? You seem desperately preoccupied with the opinions of people who don't even exist.
Your servants.
Let them come and see for themselves that there's nothing to see.
You don't know how our world operates. You can't understand these things.
Teach me then.
Take my advice. Miss, don't lower yourself. Nobody will believe you did it on purpose. People will always say that you fell.
There's nothing wrong with falling so long as you lift yourself back up again.
I've never met someone as strange as you in all my life.
Everything is strange. Life, men, everything. Just a layer of scum that floats on top of the water until it sinks to the bottom. There's nothing good here on this earth. That's why I always prefer dreams.
Only someone of your station can afford to dream.
Do you ever dream of the same thing twice?
No.
You don't. Every summer around this time, I dream that I'm dancing at the maypole, but all alone. I spin round and round until suddenly I'm twisted in the ribbons, tied to the pole, bound. I try to call out, but the bonds are so tight around my breast that I can't take in enough air to shout. When I look down, I realize I'm hundreds of feet off the ground, and all I want to do is fall, come crashing down to the earth again. But I can't.
My dream,
You said you can't afford to dream.
and yet I do.
Go on.
The oak tree at the top of the hill, you know it? I'm lying among the roots of the tree, staring up into the branches as they quake above my head in the wind. I reach up with my arms to grab hold of a branch, knowing that if I can reach one, I'll be able to climb to the top and shake the acorns from the branches and send them scattering across the earth. But the wind whips the branches away from me too quickly, and I can never grab hold of one. I try and try, but the more I struggle, the more the moss and the deep black dirt begin to swallow me up.
We're trapped, the two of us.
Is that what it all means?
I feel restless. Come with me. We'll collect midsummer flowers to sleep on tonight.
7 flowers under your pillow to dream of your true love. I remember that from being young.
That's right. Dream of better things. Let's go, now.
Like two children, they dash for the door. Suddenly, before they cross the threshold, Jan turns back. He covers his eye, wincing. Julie stops and turns back.
What is it? Something in your eye?
It's nothing. Some dirt, I think. It's nothing.
Oh, let me see. Oh, I see it. Hold still. An eyelash. Stay absolutely still. Do as I say.
Miss Julie, please. I'm only a man.
I'm aware. And a man can sit still for a moment. There now. Now it's gone. Kiss my hand and thank me.
Listen to me. Kirsten has the right idea.
Kiss my hand first.
Listen to me,
Kiss my hand first.
if you wish. But you've only yourself to blame.
For what?
Don't you know that it is dangerous to play with fire?
Not for me. I'm insured.
I'm not. And there's enough kindling here to set the whole thing ablaze.
Meaning what? You?
I'm a man.
Boys will be boys.
I'm hot-blooded.
Handsome, too. My own Don Juan. Or no, a Joseph. That's much better. I believe you're a Joseph.
Is that so?
Seeing as you've done nothing but resist me.
With purpose, Jan crosses to Julie and attempts to kiss her. She strikes him across the face, once hard.
Was that real or pretense?
Real.
I can't understand you. It's late. I have work to do. I've got to polish these before your father returns. I'll say goodnight.
Drop them.
I'm not your plaything, miss. I'm your servant. No, actually, your father's servant. And I can't spend all evening being toyed about by you.
You have such pride.
In my work. In myself.
Are you too proud to love?
Love isn't the same for me as it is for you.
What do you mean?
We don't have the luxury of romance, miss. Have I been enamored by girls? Yes. Love is something else completely.
Were they pretty?
Who?
The girls.
Some.
and you loved me as children. Where did you first see me?
It was years ago. I couldn't.
Tell me.
A young boy's crush.
I'm not your master any longer. I'm your friend.
It's not that
your
simple,
equal.
Miss Julie.
Play act, like we're on the stage together.
I sometimes see a hawk flying over the estate and wonder what its back looks like, having only seen it from below. That's how you are, from atop that maypole of yours. You can't see the other side of things.
Help me down.
You don't want to come down.
I do. Let me be your equal.
It's impossible. We live here, all of us together on top of each other, but we can't actually really be equal. Until a man has made his own place in the world without a master over him, only then can he and others who have done the same be considered equal.
And a woman?
A woman should be grateful to the man who gives her home and security.
The world is changing, Jan.
But not fast enough. When you grow up in a shack covered in shit with 7 brothers and sisters and a father who beats you at the drop of a hat, all you can do is aspire to something greater, especially when you live within the view of this paradise. High walls and who knows what kind of majesty beyond. I would walk the perimeter of this estate day after day hoping to find a secret way in.
Would you really?
One day, a ladder, left propped against a wall after some workman had left it for the day. I took my chances. I climbed up and over the wall and into the orchard. A garden of Eden. And I tasted the fruit, happily, greedily, a feast when I was used to famine. I suppose you find that base.
You were starving.
A gardener caught me and I was whipped for what I'd done. When he finished, I begged him to let me work here, to let me pay off my debt. I left behind the cottage and the drunk of a father, and I lived on this estate, working tirelessly. I knew that if I proved myself, I would slowly advance higher and higher until I would be invited into the house, not as a servant, but as a guest, where I'd meet you.
You'll make me blush.
Even with your cropped hair and breeches, I thought you were the most beautiful human I'd ever seen in my life. I'd watch you as you rode past the orchard, spurring on your horse, your riding clothes spotless.
Did you love me or envy me?
Both? Both at once? Yeah, I wanted to be you, to be the young count of the estate, but I also despised your title, your position. I was driven mad, honestly, by the strange feeling of spite, to wish to be other than I was, not just to not be a poor boy, but rather a noble girl, a highborn lady. It sent my head spinning. I determined that the only thing for me to do would be to kill myself. There was no other option. I tried to drown myself, but was pulled out of the millstream and given a beating. I tried to hang myself from the tree that stands outside the graveyard, but the limb was so rotten that it broke off under the weight of my body. I was irate. I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't live. I couldn't die. Then I remembered that my mother once warned me that it was dangerous to sleep under an alder bush. I gathered all the alder I could find and brought boughs of it with me to the oat bin. I laid the alder in amongst the oats and then lowered myself in. I lay there what felt like days. Inhaling deeply in the dark, I fell asleep. Then all of a sudden, hands grabbed me from under my arms, pulled me out, not dead, but very ill. I screamed and howled with desperation. When I recovered, my father sent me away to live with relatives on the coast. From there, I traveled and worked, but I knew that one day I'd have to return here. I'd have to see you again, symbol of my torment.
Torment?
I couldn't be you or have you. You drove me mad. Through you, I would realize how impossible it was for me to leave behind the class that I was born into.
I've never heard a servant speak so eloquently. Don't take that as a dig. I really mean it. You speak wonderfully.
I can read, unlike most. I know languages, I go to the theater, and besides, I study people. I've observed many aristocratic people.
Do you really stand around and listen to us talk?
All the time. There's eyes and ears around the estate. The gardens, the barns, the bedrooms.
What on earth do you... What has she told you?
You needn't act so innocent around me, miss.
That man was a terror to me.
Even Kirsten was shocked by the things you were saying. To shock a servant is quite a feat.
Enough!
What a shame. I was enjoying the direction that conversation was headed in.
Oh, don't be vulgar.
I thought we could be honest with each other, as equals, as you wished.
We
But I feel
can.
that you haven't felt the same, really.
No, that's...
How could you really open up to a servant like me?
Wait.
I'm going to go to bed.
It's Midsummer Eve. It's still early.
All the reason to go. The night is bewitching. We've let it all go to our heads, I think.
Won't you row me out onto the lake? We'll watch the sunrise.
I won't be a victim of your impulsivity. Or perhaps it's just a lack of judgment.
What do you mean by...
I'm trying to forge a path for myself in this world, and I won't be sent away without a good recommendation because you desire a mouse to cat about for an evening.
How dare you?
Besides, I'm engaged.
And that's stopping you? After you've been so brazen all evening.
God, you bewitch me still. I see, but now I'm strong enough to resist. Go to bed.
Is that a command? Are you master now?
In this moment, I say I am. We've both let the evening make us stupid and agitated.
Is that so?
Can't you see how desperately I want to go to bed?
Alone?
Through the following, they come close together, escalating into a moment of sexual intimacy.
I can't afford to lose all that I've worked for.
You'll lose nothing, only gain, only gain.
They'll find us. They'll come in.
Again, those invisible vase, forget them.
Forget myself.
Forget everything.
If they come,
They won't. Take me.
if they come, I'll shoot them. I'll protect you.
Shoot me too, my God, shoot me too.
They're coming.
Let them come.
Are you mine?
I am you, and you are me.
Oh, I'm all mixed up.
You'll be me. Finally, you'll be me, and we'll be one. I'm you, and you are me. We're one.
At last.
Now.
Years. Mine. Mine.
The world spins. Kirsten wakes, stands from her chair and stretches. She moves through the kitchen without seeing the other two. She blows out the candle. She stops for a moment, listening. Nothing, her imagination. She turns and sees Julie. Kirsten retreats into her room. Julie exhales deeply, as though she'd let every breath out of her body. Jan rolls off of Julie, lying on his back. Julie sits up, pulling her dress down. Everything has changed.
What are we going to do?
Run.
Run.
Travel, I mean. Go away from here.
Where?
The coast.
The coast.
I know people there.
It's not far enough.
Switzerland. No, Italy then. The lakes. Have you been?
No.
We'll go there. You'll never believe how beautiful it is. Oh, eternal summer. Orange trees, laurels.
But what will we do there?
Start a hotel. On the lake.
A hotel?
Yes, that's it. A beautiful resort on the lake full of new faces and new languages all the time, people of position and influence, our kind of people.
And what would I do?
You'd be the mistress of the place.
But
You'll be the figurehead. Your manners and grace will welcome people in and give the whole thing legitimacy.
slow down, please. Just let me...
Do you speak Italian?
For a moment. Wait, just can't you sit for a moment?
There's no time. We've got to leave now.
Tell me you love me.
Before Kirsten wakes, but before your father returns.
Tell me you love me.
I...
Jan, tell me.
I can't.
What?
Not here, in this house. Something about this house stops me, miss.
Call me Julie. There are no barriers between us now. Call me Julie.
There are barriers between us as long as we stay in this house. The past, it's still here with us, everything. I keep thinking of your father.
My father?
A man like me feels some sense of loyalty. I should hate him, I know, but I can't make myself. It's the brainwashing. It's the brainwashing that we receive since we're children. But I'll make myself unlearn it. I'll forget it. Just let's get out of this house, out of this country.
What makes you think anything will be different somewhere else?
I wasn't born to be someone's slave. The first branch. That's all I need to get to. Once I'm there, I'll soar. In 10 years, I'll live on the money that I've made, and then I'll go to Romania, and I'll buy myself a title. Then I'll just be just like your father. I'll be a count myself. Cash in hand, that's all it'll take, and you'll be my countess.
What do I care about a title? I'm done with all that. Take my hand, tell me you love me.
I can't now. I will tell you 1,000 times a day. Just not here.
Oh, God. What have I done?
Don't cry, please.
Do you have a heart?
Oh,
do you have any ounce of feeling inside of you?
I have control. That's what I have.
You kissed my foot. Not an hour ago, you kissed my foot.
We have other things to worry about now.
Don't be so cruel, Jan.
Enough! Do you approve of my plans? Will you be happy?
As long as I get away from here, I will force myself to be happy.
Good girl. Should we have a drink to celebrate?
Oh, my head aches.
You'll never guess what I have.
Jan produces the half-empty bottle of champagne and the glasses from earlier.
It's been opened, but should still taste just fine.
What is that?
Crisp, like a summer apple.
Where did you get this?
The cellar?
You stole it.
You can't blame me.
This belongs to my father.
He practically gave me the key to the wine cellar.
You're a thief.
Your father would know. Your father won't know. Here, drink. To our new life together.
How will we pay for it, though?
Well?
To buy a hotel. Somewhere fine in a desirable location. We'd need capital and lots of it.
I have ways. My experience and way with people will have no problem.
Show me how your experience buys a train ticket.
Listen, if we can just get away from this place, I'll provide for us. You may need to provide the means of the initial departure.
Me?
You must have something stored away.
Where would I get money?
You have nothing?
I have no need for money.
No, nothing saved up in a pretty box? Anything?
Nothing.
I suppose the whole thing's off then.
And?
We remain here as though nothing has happened.
But things have changed. Everything has changed.
There's no other option.
Oh, does Kirsten keep money anywhere?
She has a safe deposit box at the bank.
That does us no good.
Your father, does he?
How would I know where to look?
His desk?
Locked, I'm sure. Don't you know where he might
If
keep
I
some?
did, would I be sitting here now?
So...
There's nothing to be done then.
You'll give up that easily.
I'm being practical.
You'll put these dreams in my head and then dash them out like a candle. You can't expect me to stay here under this roof ignoring the fact that you've compromised me? Is that what you mean to say? Speak, damn it! I'm still the mistress while we're in this house, isn't that right? What?
The only mistress you can pretend to be is the one who spread her legs for me 5 minutes ago.
You thought I would bankroll your new life, is that it? A thief who can't provide for the woman he loves, and you expect
Love?
me to just go
I
off
never
with you?
said love.
What am I going to do now?
Why such dramatics? We've become equals now.
We aren't. We'll never be.
You said yourself, tonight all rank should be forgotten.
I believed that once, but I can't anymore. No, a servant is a servant.
And a bitch is a bitch.
I wish so desperately that you had killed yourself all those years ago. If only I had been that tree in the graveyard. My branch would have supported your weight gladly.
Ha!
To think you so pathetically dreamt of being me.
Is that what I said? No, really, I dreamt of all the things young men dream of when they look at little girls. Dirty little fantasies.
Fantasies, fine, but enough to make you want to kill yourself.
Sunk in the oat bin, surrounded by alder. You believe that?
You have no shame.
Shame is just a weapon used by the aristocracy to keep us in our place. I reject shame.
And now you have seen the back of the hawk.
Not seen, but had her on it, yes.
I was the unattainable first branch.
And I've grabbed it.
So, all that's left now is to run away.
We drive each other crazy.
We either leave or we die.
Don't be morbid.
Would you die with me?
No.
Abandoning me once again!
Go to bed, miss. Things will look not so bleak when the sun rises. You're just drunk on the evening.
That's all you have to say. You think that will count as payment for what you've done to me?
He digs into his pocket and pulls out a coin, throwing it at her feet.
There, my debt repaid.
We're tied to each other now, Jan, for better or worse.
We aren't.
Bound to each other.
Talk straight to me. What do you actually want? I pity you, I do. I see now that you are hopeless and without morality. Run away, retreat, disappear. Do what you will, but leave me out of it. Tonight was tonight. The rest of your life stretches out in front of you and mine in front of me, but our roads diverge here.
We walk the same road. We always have. Don't you see?
Stop. Miss Julie, stop it.
You cannot save yourself without saving me, nor can I end my suffering without ending yours too.
Let me go.
I am you, and you are me. We are one.
Yes.
You are mine, and I am yours.
Miss.
They will know. They'll all know soon enough.
No, they don't know.
Kirsten knows. She sees us for who we are.
Kirsten, oh my God.
She saw us.
Then she'll stop us.
Not if we leave this moment.
You'll go first, I'll follow in a day.
No!
We can't leave together, it's too suspicious.
I can't do it!
Do you want your father to discover you here when he returns? He'd kill us both.
Come with me today, please.
Impossible. I'll follow you in 2 days, 3.
You'll abandon me.
If we can both slip away without a scandal, one day we may be able to make amends to your father.
What do we care about him?
He's a good man.
He's a pig.
We need his
Jan, listen
support
to me.
eventually.
He's done
Even if at first he disapproves,
unspeakable.
he will give us money. He and I have grown close over the years. And you're his daughter, his heir.
I'm his plaything. And he's trained you, I see, to treat me the same way.
What are you talking about?
Did he tell you how to touch me? How to stroke my hair?
What are you saying?
Did he ask you to do all this? To put me in my place?
Miss Julie, all I'm saying is that we will want his blessing one day.
You are no less a whore than I.
Stop!
You disgust me.
Quiet now before Kirsten.
You sad excuse for a man.
Say that again.
You've done nothing for yourself, your whole life. A self-made man who has no self to even speak of, just a black, gaping wound where a soul should be.
But a man nonetheless.
And I am a woman.
A whore.
And you're superior.
You think you have the right to pull rank? Now? Only an aristocrat could behave so sordidly as you have tonight. No servant girl would have asked for it the way that you have.
That's right. Strike me, step on me. I haven't deserved any better. I am a wretched creature, but a wretched creature that has burrowed herself into you. I am yours now. Didn't you say that? I was yours?
What's said in a moment like that is not to be taken seriously.
You feel some pride about this, don't you?
A conquest is a conquest, even if the prize turns out to be worthless in the end.
You speak as though you've already eclipsed me in position.
I suppose I have. I could make you a countess in no time. You couldn't make me a count if you tried the rest of your life.
I don't need to be made a countess. I was born one. Something you'll never be able to accomplish.
But I might be the father of counts if...
I'd never give birth to your child.
You'd have to.
I don't care if every law in the land forbid it. I will never relinquish control of my body. I'll leave. I'll walk out that door this minute.
You're free to go.
I'll walk into my father's library and wait for him to return. Let's see how close you've really become. When you hear that bell ring, you'll know your time is finally up.
Julie collects herself and begins to exit. Jan rushes and blocks her way.
Stop, Miss Julie. Miss Julie, I'll be plain with you. You hold a power over me still, but this evening has tricked us both into thinking that something can exist between us. We are intoxicated by the night and by the moment of weakness in both of us that we can't take back now. You could never love me. You may love the lowest parts of me, the animal instincts that showed themselves just now, but you could never love me.
Are you so sure of that?
Just because we could never love each other doesn't mean we can't rely on each other. You are beautiful, refined, charming when you want to be. I still feel a burning for you that I may never truly be able to drown out. You are like a fine champagne, dancing on my tongue, Just one kiss, and
He begins to kiss her hand, her arm, her neck.
I won't be seduced by you again. Not after the things you've said.
Let me show you what you mean to me.
Enough!
Jan is pulling her dress up again, his hands roaming wildly over her body.
Stop!
I'll teach you what it means to come down.
Stop now,
You
or I'll...
smell like heaven. Now behave.
Julie manages to free herself from Jan and turns on him, clawing at his face.
Jesus!
I'll see you dead, I
You
swear
little
I will!
bitch. Miss Julie, please, I beg you, stop.
I'll
Stop
kill
screaming.
you! I'll stab you and haul your body into the open!
Please.
If you say one more word, I swear I'll rip out your throat. I'll go now and pack.
Good. I'll do the same.
You'll come with me?
Tonight.
I'm so tired.
We'll rest on the way, but be strong just for a few more hours.
There's no escape, Jan. No matter how far we run, we're still here.
Julie exits. Jan is alone. He straightens his clothes, his hair, wipes blood from a scratch away. At a loss for anything to do, he picks up the leather boots and begins to polish them. Quietly, Kirsten enters.
What are you doing?
Should have had these polished hours ago. Can't sleep?
Been in and out.
I see.
Midsummer's Eve always makes it hard to sleep.
The dance must be over by now.
I think it ended long ago.
John the Baptist's day now.
Sun will be rising soon. Spell will break.
I know.
You've been up with her all evening? I suppose it's stupid to assume that you... I saw you.
Kirsten,
It's done now, Jan.
let me make it up to you.
How?
I'll find a way.
The dish is broken. It can't be mended.
I'll try.
No, you'll be happier with her.
Her?
Julie,
I...
when are you leaving?
Today. This morning.
It's what you wanted, isn't it? A way to advance.
It's not as simple as that.
You're not meant for a place like this.
The world is so much larger than one estate.
Do you love her?
It will ruin me, Kirsten.
Do you ever walk the estate? I find myself wandering the grounds for hours when I can. You know, long stretches of time without a single soul crossing my path. Just the moss paths under my feet. Canopies of branches over my head and that slow, eerie creak of the trees as they continue to settle into the dark earth. Like someone's left the servant's door unlocked and swayed in the breezes that comes out just before a storm. That wooden ache and moan. I thought I knew all the paths, but this morning I found one that I hadn't taken before, half hidden by brush and marked by a single wooden post. I cleared away the tree fall and undergrowth, careless and tearing the hem of my dress as I did so. There was a new way forward into a part of the grounds I had never seen before. Softly and meticulously, I walked this overgrown trail, trying to navigate in my head what direction I could be going, what landmark might suddenly spring up out of the trees and reveal to me a well-familiar spot, but none came. And soon I was turned around, the trees so tall that I felt as though I were in a cathedral, exultant with dangerous feeling of being lost. I kept on. Silence, like I'd never heard. Just the sometimes pop, snap, something moving along with me deeper in the forest. And then I saw the doe, with the white streak on her side, the one who haunts the woods. It seems like she has since I first came here. She never has a fawn with her. Just her, alone. Mostly just a flash of a tawny hide and that smear of white leaping through the trees. I don't know why, but I always felt that after Miss Julie's mother died, she became that doe. Like something out of a fairy tale, I guess. She haunts the estate and keeps away from the trails that might bring her too close to humans. But today, she revealed herself to me. She stepped out onto that path and dared me to move further along the way. I stepped backward, not out of fear, but reverence. Julie's mother or not, this was her domain. How strange. That we, who shape this land, pull down the trees and erect monuments, should think for 1 second that we control it. The laws of nature are the ones that we should be humbled to, not the ones we've created for ourselves. There's no hierarchy in the forest, no servants and masters. A doe may walk the trees for generations, no buck or fawn, just she, solitary, she, alone. I bowed my head to her, and as I did, she leapt away, silent, as a stone dropped into a fountain. That's how I'd like to go when I die, silent and quickly into the tangled unknown of inhabited forest. My path unbarred, I pressed on, though I felt uneasy as I did, like eyes were on me. A fly kept making angry circles around my head as I went, and finally I emerged into a vista overlooking the fields, and I saw the workmen bringing garlands into the barn, chairs and casks of juniper sprigs scattered on the floor. A moss-covered stone offered me respite, and I sat for a time, surveying the land that stretched out before me. Darkness began to fall, and I saw the car, sleek and the gloaming snaking along the road, the master leaving for the evening, you and the master, the men, driving the opposite way. Taking the path back felt shorter this time, for all the thrill of discovery was gone. It was just a path, again, leading me back to this house, to duty, to work. A branch crackled under the brush. A swallow dropped, rose again, clattering in the leaves above me. A flash of white, a streak, a wound, a sign.
A sign of what?
The world is changing.
You think I don't see that?
The world will be kinder to us.
Don't patronize me.
Let her make her way in the world.
She and I are linked to each other now.
It's time that women forged our own way.
Not you two.
It's time, Jan.
I will not relinquish what I've worked my whole life for. I will not let her rule over me.
Change with the world, or the world will leave you behind.
Stop. Enough.
Can't you tell? Can't you feel the way the very foundations of the world are shaking?
She's contaminated you too.
No. For the first time, I feel as though I see myself plainly.
And I see myself being buried under the stinking earth, swallowed up.
Why should the world change only for you? Why are you the only one who gets to reap the benefits?
Enough.
You've talked for years about how the old establishment needs to fall, how the ruling class needs to be turned over so that people of our class can rise above.
Enough, I said.
Well, now it's time for the rule of men to be turned over too.
Suddenly, Jan grabs the shaving razor from the cabinet and holds it to Kirsten's throat, pinning her to the table.
Why can't you listen to what you're told? I'll never let a woman hold power over me. Not again. You hear me? You'll never control me.
Julie enters with a small valise. Seeing them, she rushes over to Jan and Kirsten. Her valise crashes to the ground, scattering articles of clothing and jewelry.
Let her go! Let her go now!
The earth is going to swallow me up.
Kirsten retreats into a corner. Jan sinks to the floor, broken.
Miss,
Leave now, Kirsten.
he's insane.
I will take care of him.
No, miss, I won't leave you alone with him.
I knew the witch's compact had been made between the two of you.
Quiet.
Cut off my head then, Salome. It's St. John the Baptist's day.
Jan, you've got to stand up.
I will not be commanded by you.
Get up.
Cunt.
A moment. She stares at him. Julie stares at Jan. In that moment, she could kill him. In that moment, she could tear out his eyes, snap his windpipes, smash his face, mutilate, maul, decapitate, hang, shoot, stab, burn, eviscerate him. Julie is capable. Julie is happy to do it. She sees him begging her, crying, please, please don't. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. I never thought. I thought you wanted it. I thought you said yes. I thought I deserved it. I thought it was my right. I thought you were my property. I thought you didn't matter. Julie is not his. Julie is no one's. Who do we blame when these things happen? Because these things do happen. They keep happening over and over. These acts of violence, generation after generation, the wheel turning constantly. Who do we blame? Our parents? How could they have known any more than we do now? I haven't a thought that didn't come from my father, or a passion that didn't come from my mother. I have nothing of my own, so no self to speak of.
What are we to do now?
What will you do in my place?
In your place? I couldn't say.
But if you were me?
I would defend my honor.
How?
The only way I could.
With that?
Exactly. Exactly. If I were you, if I were a woman.
And if you were a man?
I am a man.
Like a girl, so vain, so sensitive.
I am a man.
You wouldn't kill yourself because you are a man?
That's right.
My father tried to kill himself.
But failed, and not because he was incapable. I think that he knew that he couldn't die until he had taken out his revenge.
But now it is my mother's turn to revenge herself through me.
Did you ever love your father, Miss Julie?
In some way, I must have. But he made me hate myself. So I must have hated him in some way too.
Yes, but
A bell rings twice, but softly. The noise is almost subconscious. Jan stiffens.
he's back.
It's impossible. How could he be back?
He's calling for me.
Julie picks up the corset that has fallen out of her bag and wraps it around Jan's torso.
He won't return for hours, I promise.
Promises can be broken.
He'll return when I go to fetch him, miss.
Miss.
Louder, the bell rings again. Jan shrinks at the sound. Julie begins to lace the corset.
We don't have to worry about your father, not for a moment.
Yes.
And Kirsten won't say a word to anyone. She'll keep our secret. And we'll fall asleep in the oats as we watch the sunrise. We'll surround ourselves with alder and lilac and drift off.
I'm so tired.
7 midsummer flowers under the pillow, and we'll see the future. Isn't that right, miss?
Julie finishes lacing the corset.
There's no such thing as the future. We're trapped. We're trapped here, oh my God. I have to repent. I have to do something. I have to do something. What am I supposed to do now?
I couldn't say, miss.
Command me.
You are the mistress here. It wouldn't be my place to command you.
What am I supposed to do?
You are me, and I am you. You did some fine acting when you were on your knees before me. Then you were the aristocrat.
You forget yourself. No.
Yes.
I forget myself.
Miss,
I forget myself.
forget yourself again.
Sit.
It wouldn't be proper in your presence.
But if I command you,
I'd have to obey.
I can't.
Forget yourself.
I can't.
Forget everything.
We have to leave. We have to go now before we're discovered.
We can't go anywhere.
How can we escape all of this?
There's nowhere to go.
If we can't just sleep.
What if you're asleep already?
I'll forget myself.
What, miss?
The room's filling up with smoke. It's nothing but smoke and soot. Don't you see it? Don't you understand?
A fire?
Like someone set the house ablaze.
You should run, miss, before you're burned up.
I'm insured.
Go now before it's light to the barn.
To the oat bin.
It's so peaceful there. You'll soon be cured of this love sickness.
No matter how far we run, we're still here.
This is the way out.
We're still here.
The bell rings again, this time booming loudly in the room.
He's asked you to do this to me. To put me in my place.
Can't you feel the very foundations of the world are shaking?
There's no other way out.
I'll find 7 midsummer flowers on my way.
You must go, now.
I hope this clears my debt.
Jan goes firmly out through the door.
What do we do now?
Kirsten moves to the table and picks up the box of matches. She turns to Julie.
Burn it all down.
Kirsten lights 2 matches and hands the box to Julie. Kirsten leaves. Julie stands in the middle of the kitchen, listening as the bell keeps ringing, echoing through the house. Smoke is filling the room. She takes a match out of the box. She stands there as the room begins to burn. She lights the match but stands frozen. Is this her escape? Finally, she drops the match and exits. Blackout.